Step into the world of decay, abandonment, and chaos. The story of an urban explorer starts here, at the beginning. Welcome to the podcast you've been looking for all along. This is No Tracers. Here, we take only photos. We leave only footprints. And remember, leave no trace. Welcome back to the No Tracers podcast. My name is Kay, just the letter K. I am known as No Tracers on TikTok, No Tracers URBEX on YouTube, and No.Tracers on Instagram. Welcome to the show, all about urban exploring, where I interview other explorers about their stories and the crazy things that we do as people that are obsessed with decay. This week on the podcast, I'm speaking with Morning Reveries and her spouse, DorianHelix. You can find their Instagram accounts down below in the description, along with a bunch of other things. I've got some links to Amazon gear that I think you might need if you are just getting into urban exploring, or if you want to upgrade your gear. There are a bunch of Amazon affiliate links down in the description. Before we get into the podcast, just a couple things. If you are new to the show, please hit the subscribe button. I try to get these episodes up every Friday, unless I'm on tour with a band, whether it's my band or if I'm working for another band as a content creator. That's the only thing that will kind of slow these down. But for the time being, every Friday, these episodes come out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and I have been uploading them to the No Tracers URBEX YouTube channel as well, along with the photos of my guests, so you guys can kind of watch something and listen. If you prefer your podcasts on YouTube, they go up there. If you are a veteran listener, or if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a rating and feedback, and I will send you a signed photo print from an abandoned place I've explored as a way of saying thank you. I do have a photography book out called No Tracers, an Urban Explorer's Diary. If you guys want to get a copy of that, head to justtheletterk.com/no tracers, and I will hook you up with a signed copy of that book. It is self-published, so I keep 100% of the proceeds from that book. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you picking up a copy of one of those. Lastly, I need to thank our partner on the podcast, which is Liquid Death Mountain Water. If you're ready to murder your thirst, I've got an ad for you in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to a new kind of experience that is not for the faint of heart. A new kind of water, straight from the Austrian Alps, packaged in beautifully rugged aluminum cans. So if you want to stand out, if you want to murder your thirst and give back to the planet, give Liquid Death a try. The only thing that stands between you and the Reaper is a can of liquid death. Not for the faint of heart. So without further ado, let's get into this podcast. Morning Reveries, DorianHelix, please do me a favor and introduce yourselves to the No Tracers audience and how long you've been exploring for.
My name is Morning Reveries on Instagram. People do know me by my name Robin also, but I explore mostly with my spouse, Michael. And I'll let him say hi, and then we'll share how we got into this.
Yes, my name is Michael, and I go by DorianHelix on all social media, I guess.
Yes. So he's being shy. We've been together 20 years, and we met actually in a Yahoo chat room back in the day when the Instagram was new. We always joke around that You've Got Mail story is sort of like our story. And one of the things that attracted ourselves to each other is that we both love photography. I was a freelance journalist at the time, and I was already shooting photos with my stories for a newspaper. So we always, from the start of our relationship, would travel around taking photos. And then I used to be a punk rocker in the 80s. So I spent a lot of time in abandoned buildings, including living in them, squatting, and then of course going to shows. And so when we would go on, back road trips, we would just stop and take pictures, and we both love old buildings. And then when we moved to Pennsylvania, it was just natural because this is just has so much history here, and it just sort of led that way. And I also was a reporter in Pottsville, which is sort of the cradle of the Industrial Revolution in Pennsylvania. And I had written a series of stories on Centralia, which everybody knows where the abandoned mine fire is. And, that just probably was part of it too. And then he started going inside before I did. I would say outside. And then one day I was like, fuck it, I'm going in. And then that was it. You just become addicted.
Well, I think what got you was the boarding house. South of it. There's an old boarding house that I had permission from one of the tenants to go up and take pictures. And I had went in there years before with another group that was looking for a hub for like social justice organizations in the area. And they let us look at it. And so I remembered that. So one January, whatever year that was, we went up in there with our cameras.
8 years, or maybe 8 years ago.
Yeah. It's pretty cold that day, but we went up in there and took pictures. And that was, I think, one of the big hooks that got us going.
Yes. All this beautiful wallpaper from, like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And the old, of course, clawfoot bathtubs. Oh. And the next thing you know, we're in old breweries and silk mills and, went from there.
Wow. That's
and
so
it's
cool.
And because we both also had our kids young, we're Gen Xers, and both of us, since we had kids young, and then when they were out of the house, it became something else that just really blossomed our relationship that we could share together.
Yeah. I think that's so special that you guys kind of came together with this love for, decay and abandonment. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And I've had a couples on the podcast to share their stories, and it's always so interesting that people come together like in their relationship and it brings them together. And I think it's just shows you like the power even further so of what we do and what we love and how that can bring people together. So for both of you, can you bring me into your very first explorations, like ever?
Oh, wow. First ever? It was probably this old brewery, right?
I think we went in the silk mill first.
Yeah, we don't want to say where it is, but there's a big silk mill. It's one of the biggest, and we went in there and we're so excited. It's empty, but it's beautiful light, beautiful windows. And to me, it reminded me so much of, like the old kind of warehouses that I would hang out in when I was homeless, or squatting as a teenager. And we would just sit around and, get high when you're a kid.
For sure.
But it was just beautiful, and it just felt, like you're transported back in time. But he was definitely at first more brave than I was, but then it kind of switched back around a lot over the years.
It goes back and forth.
Yes.
I love that. And I'm sure you guys kind of push each other.
I'm in my no fear arc right now.
Yeah, he's now in his no fear arc.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he gets more scared like if I fall, and then he goes back into it, because he is my protector.
Of course. Absolutely. So can you guys take me into your gear, like the gear you use? And this could be backpacks, your actual camera gear, shoes, lights, anything like that you can recommend for like first time explorers that are like, what do I need to do this?
I absolutely, and it's funny because I bitch at my friend who I've been, friends with for 7 years. I highly recommend waterproof boots. Making sure your boots, because you go through so many puddles and, or if you're in a tunnel or anything, and nothing's grosser than getting your feet wet and then or being cold the rest of the time. Like having like good, comfortable hiking boots that are waterproof, I think are really important.
Well, thick-soled boots.
Because, thick-soled.
Obviously there's lots of sharp things you can encounter, nails and whatever else. You want to make sure you protect your feet.
Definitely.
Yeah. I think, and then making them waterproof would
gloves.
And then, I know, I hate it when we forget gloves, because we've come to love houses, and we're people who actually clean them up, and we need to bring gloves to protect our hands. And, we have respirators and we don't always wear them. We've now been wearing more because we have so many masks on us all the time. But
N95.
Yeah. And we've just been wearing an N95. Only because the respirator, will fog up my glasses or kind of thing. Definitely. But I'm allergic to dust and I explore. At the end of it, I'm like, but I don't care.
You got to do it because you love it. Wow, that's hilarious.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. I just love the story so much and the history, and I love researching the background and finding out. We've been in so many incredible places, from famous people to railroad tycoons, and just finding out who these people were, and even just to everyday people and reading their letters and their love letters, and sometimes the man was away at war, and just who these people were.
Yeah, it's always so fascinating to get into the history. Do you guys do your research before you go in these places or after, or maybe a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I'm really good because I was a journalist. I'm really good at researching and finding places. We haven't been able to get out as much the past year and a half because we take care of my dad who has dementia. Oh, wow. But I still have researched and found a bunch of places. So once we're situated, we'll be hardcore again.
I think I'm the better one at looking at maps.
He's better visually, yes. And then, so it's kind of a bit of both. I might find initial research and then we go, and then I might find other clues that lead me to do more in-depth research later. And
we try to stop at everything we see along the way if we can.
Yeah, if we can.
Yeah.
And
just to check it out.
Yeah. And are you guys exploring just in the PA area, the area you're in? Or do you guys travel together? What is what does it look like when you guys actually go to these places?
Well, we've been, mostly just a regular explore for us could be Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia.
Okay.
Because where we live.
Delaware.
Delaware. Yeah. That's a 3.5, 4 hour drive distance easy from where we're at. And then we have probably 2016 when we drove across the country to see family in Washington State. We explored across the country.
Wow.
So that was fun.
That's cool.
But crazily though, we have not explored north of New York. We've explored New York, but we haven't explored north of there. And which is nuts. So we've explored, I don't know how many states, tons of states, but we haven't been north of New York.
Wow.
Which we still have to do.
Yeah, definitely. There's, even if you go up into Canada, even Toronto, outside of Toronto, there's a bunch of stuff up there, paper mills, boats, all kinds of cool stuff up there that I highly recommend checking out. And so I want to jump into the book a little bit. Abandoned Pennsylvania, Ruins of the Family Dream. Can you guys bring me into the initial thought of wanting to create a book, first of all? Because, I've got one as well. It's a huge task to take on, and it takes time and energy and a ton of effort, and especially if you want to do it right. So take me into the initial thought of hey, maybe we should put this book together, to the inception, to publishing it and everything.
Well, I was approached by the publisher about creating a book. And because I know that there had been other ones about Pennsylvania, I wanted to make it different. And I said I wanted to do it also with my husband since we do it together. And I feel like it's part of our story. And the publisher said that's a great idea. And our book, why it says Ruins of the Family Dream, is because it focuses on abandoned houses. Even though we do explore other things, but it focuses on the abandoned houses as sort of a symbol for that lost family dream. And Pennsylvania, as my husband will say, go ahead, about, it is so fascinating with its importance and role in American history, which he did a great job in the book.
Well, yeah, Pennsylvania was considered the mother of the Industrial Revolution in America. So it had lots of industries, from textiles to steel, iron, and shipbuilding, and just a whole variety of stuff was happening in Pennsylvania because of the resources here. Also lumber in the day, they kind of clear cut the entire state at one point and had to regrow all the trees. So it just served a really important part of building the railroad, and and building railroad cars and engines, and just everything was just being done here in the state. So it provided a lot of jobs.
Yeah. And then, of course, when those jobs went away, then everything else falls away. Mm-hmm. And of course, it seems like almost every mansion we go in is somehow tied to a railroad tycoon. And it's fascinating to me, after studying about the Industrial Revolution, to then actually be in the abandoned houses or homes of these people that I learned about.
Yeah, seriously. It's so fascinating to step into their lives for a second, into the place that they rested their head at night and where they, went after a long day of hard labor. And I've been to a couple places in Pennsylvania, obviously the Philly prison that's out there. And I loved that place. And one of my music videos that I filmed for an artist was in the old glass factory up in Pittsburgh. Okay. That was one of the first explores that I really, really did and got to use for a music video. And that was super cool to see that and just see all the glass that was still left on the ground, the porcelain figurines, everything that was literally just left at that place. It was so cool to step into the past like that. So when you guys published, did you end up going through that publisher?
Yes, we did. And it was, we're supposed to have another book coming out, but I haven't finished it. And we haven't finished it. And so we're really late with it. So that's called, we both have ADD.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, that one's on Maryland.
Oh, cool.
And so we went with them, and it's a lot of work, going out and putting, promoting it and contacting people. And definitely it's a lot more than just trying to let go, because you don't make much.
Right.
It's a smaller percentage of when it comes to them when you sign a contract, as opposed to if you self-publish and then promote it on your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I did. I went ahead and self-published because so I got hit up by a publisher and they were going to give me 12%, a minute amount. And I was like, right. or I could just self-publish this and keep 100% of it. Granted, I had to pay for, the printing and everything. But I mean, for me personally at the time, I'm still relatively small on, Instagram and TikTok and things. But I've, done relatively well with the proceeds of that book. And, it's been awesome to see people get excited over that stuff. And I love when other explorers actually take the time to make a photo book, because it does take a lot of effort. And having made one myself, I can definitely appreciate and respect the fact that you guys went through all that effort to put something out. And the fact that you're working on a second book is super cool, and can't wait I'm definitely going to order this book that you guys have on Pennsylvania, because my dad studied school there. He went to Penn State, and so I think he would love to check this out as well and kind of get a taste of the history there. But do you guys have any urban exploration injury stories that you would like to share?
Oh, yes, I do. One is I have a scar over my left eye from when we were going to an abandoned resort in upstate New York. And I'm from Florida originally. So my husband and our friend, City Sea Lights, were like, come on, Robin, run. And it's ice everywhere on a hill. So I'm trying to run up the hill, and I'm overweight anyway. So I'm trying to run up the hill, and they're way past me. And then I go flying and bust my face, flying face forward on a big rock. Blood's everywhere. And I'm literally stunned. I'm seeing stars flying around. And they're like, get up. Someone's going to see us. We got to go. Get up. My husband's laughing. Forget the blood, and I'm going to throw up. Yeah. And they're like, we got to go. So somehow I get up, go in, and I ended up going in and I explored 2 hotels while blood. Oh, my dogs are barking. My husband forgot to put them away.
It's all good.
Explored 2 places, and I just took my scarf and wrapped it around my head to stop the blood. And then went to the ER later.
Oh no. So what was that conversation when you went to the ER? How did you explain what happened?
No, I just said that we were taking photos on a mountain and I slipped.
Perfect.
And I fell on a rock. No, but the big thing is that I am also a professor. I teach writing. Mm-hmm. So I had to go in and teach my class, and my whole entire face, I had giant black eyes.
Oh.
And so my students were like looking at me funny. I'm like, my husband did not beat me up. But it's so many times, because I would walk in limping, bruised up, hurting. And they're like, what is going on with you? I mean, that's one time. And another time we went into this old house, and there was the big living room area was sunken down, and there was an old piano kind of leaning in. Mm. And then there was another little family room, and I started backing up with my wide angle to try to get a better shot of it. And I stupidly didn't look where I was stepping. And I stepped backwards and fell backward the floor then collapsed behind me because I fell. Oh my God. Like when I stepped, the floor gave way. So I fell backwards, and then I was hanging by the rafters. And so my arms are there, but then my upper body is lower than my legs.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Which is worse. So then all that was left was a thin strip of linoleum, and I'm screaming. And I actually weigh more than him because he's thin. He's like a little thin thing. And so he comes in and is Hercules, and he somehow pulled me up.
Oh my God.
Well, yeah, because at this point we had, committed to staying on the same level of any place together. Like we would just, move from room to room and take turns, but stay close. Mm. So I wasn't that far away. So all I heard was this scream, and then just when she hit the floor, I could hear the boom, and then I could hear a lot of crumpling noise, which was, I guess, the floor disintegrating. So then I run, through the kitchen and looked through there was a door on either side because there was this piano room, and then there was a living room on that side. So I go along this thin strip of the wooden flooring along the wall, maybe about a foot wide, where I can go along. And somehow I pulled her up onto her stomach onto this ledge, and then we just crawled over to the other side. I'm not sure how that little piece of floor was holding us, because the wood below was all broken and collapsed everywhere. But we managed to get.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been pretty if I fell, because I dropped my phone and he had to go down into the basement to find it.
It was about an 8-foot drop at least.
Oh, yeah, no. And it was all like the wood beams were all like poking up, so I would have fallen on that. But so that was definitely a close call.
Wow.
But we've had a lot of other like weird, interesting things with cops. Like I stupidly ran from the police one time and things like that. We were at a resort. And it was my birthday, and we're going around, and I was like, oh, let's go. I want to go. And so I start to go around a corner, and I'm like, oh, fuck, there's a fucking cop. And so he's like, okay, let's go, let's run. So we started to run, and me running is not pretty. And
well, we didn't think that
I wasn't sure if it was a cop, and I didn't think he saw us,
Man.
But he did.
We just figured, we just saw the vehicle, thought it was security, so we were just going to go
I
ahead
knew
and
it was
book
a cop. That was my excuse, was that it was security. Because then all of a sudden we're running, and I'm trying to go over wet rocks, and then of course I slip and bust my ass, and then because I fall all the time, and then he goes freeze. Yeah, he pulled a gun and was like, freeze.
What? Oh my God, that's so extra.
So Yeah. So I'm on my ass, and then I'm, having a panic attack, asthma attack.
Oh no.
And then he's like, get up.
And she couldn't, because she was huffing and puffing and breathing because she was having a panic attack. And then he's like, wait, is she okay? I'm like, oh yeah, she's tough.
Oh my God.
It's like, she can handle it. She's all right.
And you're like, no, don't tell him that.
I know, but he ended up letting us go.
Oh, that's good.
Well, he looked through our photo bags to see if we had any copper, but
oh yeah, for sure, for sure, especially up there.
We're going to be carrying copper in the bags, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's totally a thing. People strip all these places, and it's fascinating.
They usually use like duffel bags, though.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I'm a good fast talker, so I just quickly said, oh, no, I thought you were security, and I'm a teacher, and I didn't want to get in trouble. So
for sure.
That's why I was running.
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, you know, and it's good you guys got out of that situation. I've been had my fair share of close calls with the police, and you know, thankfully, knock on wood, I have been able to avoid them for the most part. Other than the ones that are like cool about it, like I've definitely had a cop tell me like, yeah, you can go in, but if another cop arrives, like, I can't help you, and I'm like, that's all I need. You basically gave me permission, I'm going in. Like, it's happening now. Can you guys take me into your scariest exploration? And this could be I don't know if you're into like paranormal, this could be a run-in with homeless people, or, you know, crazy people, whatever. Scary stories.
I can think of sketchiest, but
okay, let's hear sketchiest.
I don't get spooked out by places.
He doesn't. I mean, we've had a couple kind of paranormal experiences. He doesn't really believe in that, but I mean, I do. But I'd say paranormal would be, we're at a hospital, an old tuberculosis sanitarium, and we had a friend with us, and there were 3 floors, and each of us were on a different floor. And go ahead, you finish.
Well, I was setting up to take a shot of maybe some encyclopedias full of dust and decay on top of an old dresser or something. I could hear, this is in the middle of winter in January or something, somewhere along that line, or February, I forget. But I remember in the hallway there, I could hear someone approaching me, and it sounded like they had those thick snow pants, like the overall type snow pants you wear when you're a kid or whatever. And that's what it sounded like. And as they approached the door, I kind of looked over, expecting to see someone, and nobody was there. And so then I would go about, set it in my shot, and I think I was doing something else, and I heard it again, and I just looked outside the hallway to intercept them. Nobody's there. It just sounded like somebody was approaching me. Later on, when we are all trading stories, we realized we'd all heard something similar on each of the floors. Like,
whoa.
We all heard someone walking up behind us.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There's this...
While we were, I kept thinking, I was like, Michael, is that you? I turned around a couple times thinking he was coming up behind me.
Yeah. That's nuts. There's this like theory that I heard once that, you know, ghosts or whatever paranormal stuff, like a lot of times the reason people have the same experiences, and like you go to a haunted hotel and people experience like the same thing every single time, is because they're trapped in this like loop. Like if you think of like a tape recording, it just like kind of loops over and over and over again. That's why people experience the same kind of thing. And when somebody told me that, I was like, that is a fascinating theory. You know, if there is something else out there, that makes sense, that they're stuck in this place, and that's why people experience the same kind of things, regardless of like if they're in the same room, in the same building, whatever. But yeah, tell me about that sketchy experience you had.
Oh, I would say the school in New York, the big... You know what I'm talking about? You don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, never in a minute.
Well, okay. Well, there is this big Gothic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, school. That this was years ago. People have been in since, but a lot of people were getting arrested. And very, very wealthy area. And this place is, holy shit, amazing. And we literally, actually... I'm going to take this back. I'm going to go back to one of, still to this day, my favorite, most epic explorer ever. And I'm going to say it because this place is demolished. It's the Buck Hills Inn in the Poconos. And I'm going to say this place because everywhere was private property. So the inn was
like a 1,000-acre community.
It was a 1,000-acre community. So you couldn't park anywhere near it. You had to park outside and walk in. And we went in, there was a guy who had killed a cop, and police had been looking for him, and they had went into that resort. So a lot of explorers had stayed out of it for a long time. And he wasn't there. He was at a different resort. But anyway, so what we did is my husband and another guy friend of ours like drove up, dropped myself and City Sea lights off. And this was pre-dawn, 4 a.m. And so we had all their gear, and then we, the lights are off. And then we went up and then we hid in the bushes. And then they went and parked the car, and then they walked back in the dark. And then we were in there for probably 7 hours because this place had 500 rooms.
9 hours, I think.
I don't know. It was a long time. Yeah. But then we had to leave, So then we had to all walk out with people, riding their horses. And I have a lot of back pain. And so I was in like dying of pain. And they're all walking ahead of me. That's partly why I fall a lot. But I keep going. I don't give a shit. So, yeah. But then people saw that we went, and then all of a sudden it got slammed, like the Instagram bum rush. Mm-hmm. And then I think like the next week people were getting arrested again. Wow. That was a pretty sketchy Explorer. There have been lots of other ones.
Well, yeah, and with that one, we had went before that to figure out where the way in was or where a way in was, and we had found it just walking around with our cell phones, and we got in our car and we're just driving off right as security pulled up. So we really because we just drove right up that time.
We had no idea. We were newbies back then.
Yeah, we were pretty new, yeah.
And they were like, oh, I guess you can't park here. We better go.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were all eager thinking, we had no clue. Yeah. And, but we learned, and we still to this day will do that. I mean, we will drive 2 states to go scout something out. Wow. And then go back again later. Right. Just to make sure it's safe.
Yeah. The thing I remember that place for is that episode of Fear that MTV did there, that they were like saying some like questionable, they were like making shit up about the place, like for paranormal purposes. Like that's what I remember about that place. I've obviously never been there, but and then there was like a bunch of fires there at one point as well, like, and then I don't know the full history.
Some of the rooms were on show signs of fire for sure. Yeah.
It probably still is one of my favorite Explorers to this day. That was definitely very, very risky. A lot of people have gone to jail from that place. Yeah. And then there's another mansion that's somewhere in the Northeast too, that a lot of people have gotten arrested, and he had to climb like a monkey to get in.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite. Yeah,
it was so high. Oh my God.
I had to stack up like an old door frame and a couple other things and grab onto the balcony and pull myself over the ledge and then go downstairs and figure out how to get that man a window in the bathroom.
And I had to go in this tiny ass, like I'm like so tall and I had to squeeze in, and everyone's like, come on, Robin. And they're pulling me in and shoving my ass. And I'm telling our guy friend, I'm like, just put your hand on my crotch and shove me in.
Whatever to get in there, let's go.
At that point, I don't care. You're like, don't be shy. Get my ass in. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
I think one of my personal favorites was an old power factory or power station, and it was such an intense way to get in. You had to climb up on a little sub house, and then you had to go to a different spot, and you had to climb into an open window in the coal chute, which was not, it was busted, it was open, but it was, swinging. It wasn't wide open like you could see it. You just had to know where it was at. And I did that one twice. I had both people that I went the first time with...
I didn't go, by the way, because I would have died.
Yeah, that would have been a tough one. So much climbing to do to get in. But just to get into the coal chute, and then to go all the way up the coal chute was very long, and then just to figure your way into the main part of it and get all the shots, and so there's some like different iconic shots in there. Of course, we looked for them, we found them, but that was one of my favorite. Did that one twice.
Wow.
And that one's sketchy because when you go through the fence, you have to keep cutting the fence, and right where the fence is at, there's a camera.
Don't break the law, kids.
Yeah,
that's bad for you.
So it's one of those ones where for this area, for explorers, it's one of those ones that you check off if you do it, because it's a pretty risky, adrenaline-filled explore to do and to get out, without getting caught.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then can you talk to me about the Centralia a little bit more? Because that's obviously a place that a lot of people want to go check out.
Oh, and, sure. Well, there's not really anything left now.
Right.
But back when I went, this was like, God, what year did we move for? 2004. This is 2004.
Oh, wow.
When I wrote the stories. And I write under the name Robin Meadows. That's why you see that in my email. And this was for the Pottsville Republican and Herald, and I think the AP picked up one of my stories. But back then, like the stories that I wrote one about the little small borough that was before Centralia called Burnsville. Mm-hmm. You can still see, like, there's like an old tub that was flipped up and made into a shrine for a saint. I can't remember the saint's name. And that town was really fascinating. I interviewed one of the last surviving members. He still owns the property there. And this stuff is gone, but there used to be like an old car that was used to sift coal. They made it because they used to go do strip mining. Mm-hmm. And back then it was really neat because you could really clearly see, even in that area, you could see the old sidewalks. And there was a lot more. The mayor still lived there in Centralia. Wow. And there were a couple other people. And I got to interview the mayor, and he was really old. In his house, so when I was in it, I mean, it looked so much like a lot of these old houses that we explore. Wow. You know, with all the old, I mean, he was 90, I think. I can't remember exactly, but that's one thing that I do miss about being a journalist. But I didn't get to, back when I was up here, I wasn't a photographer for the paper because I was on staff. Right. Yeah, but it was it was really fascinating. I also got to do a series on Yingling Brewery. Okay. And this was for the 175th anniversary. And that actually was really fascinating because I got to go explore parts of the brewery that other people don't see. Wow. I got to go out in the caves. That's sick. Wow. Incredible. Yeah, so that was really neat. That's super cool. Do you guys have any goal places, like bucket list items that you're dying to check out?
Too many.
So many. I've never been in a bank.
Oh, yeah. Same.
Yeah. And I mean, I know where some are. I just haven't been. And, I think now it's been like we're getting older because, it's just hard. Like now I'm to the point where I don't know. I feel a little more sketched out. Sure. But yeah. So I think a bank. I want to find a cute laundromat. Nice. I don't know. I think it's so cute. And I'm trying to think where else.
We want to go overseas.
Well, we definitely want to go overseas. I want to explore France and Italy. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Slavic nations. But right now I know they're dealing with so much taking in refugees. Yeah. There's just so much there. I don't want to name the places because I don't like to do that. Yeah. I'm really... we're both really big about respecting locations. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing I would ask for new explorers is we have seen so many places get destroyed from people oversharing. And it's really important to protect these places because we've also seen places get saved. And if people are oversharing and then the places get stripped out, so they lose bits of their architectural value, then it's harder for them to get preserved. So then, like, if a developer buys a historic house, because it's on 10 acres, what they'll do is they'll let it sit and rot. So then they can get it condemned.
Fascinating.
That's a lot we talk about in our book of why these houses get abandoned.
Right.
But people can fight it. But if people are going in and stripping it,
it makes it harder.
Right. Then it loses its historical integrity.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense. Like, I definitely get that. I had a guy on the show called After the Final Curtain. And
yes, I know him.
Yeah, he restores old theaters. And I think that's super fascinating. And I love that he's like all about that and, restoring things. And I think that's such a cool addition to urban exploring is the restoration and preservation process of these buildings and these places. And when you had mentioned that you guys go in and like clean up houses and stuff, like I think that's super fucking cool.
Well, some people say like, oh, leave it as it is. Sure. Like we don't steal. Sure. But these places, when shit's thrown everywhere, that's not how that was left. Right. It's because vandals and looters went in and were throwing shit everywhere. Right. And we're, trying to be artistic. So of course we want to arrange things to make it look like it, like it probably did before they threw stuff all over the floor.
Right. Absolutely.
Before they turn the couch over, we're going to put the couch back up.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. If you guys could live in one place you've explored for an entire week, which place would it be?
Oh God, that's so... Where would you?
Well,
it's hard. We've been in a lot of beautiful houses.
Yeah, I think. I don't know. It's a good question.
I think I would, if I could dream, I would dream that the pink bedroom mansion that was set on fire and burned down in Maryland, I would dream that we could own, actually not even live in it for a week, but that we could have saved it and bought it and rescued that house.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, there's so many places we've lost, and you know, my last episode I just put out was about this insane asylum in Downey, California that everybody knows about, so I don't mind talking about it, and the fact that it just like got fucking burned to the ground. Like a week and a half ago, I was in the middle of a tour with a band, and Damn Gina hit me up via text and was like, hey, so I don't know if you saw this, but the Downey Insane Asylum's been like burned to the ground. And I was devastated. Like my heart literally fell out of my chest, and I was like, this place was iconic. It was like one of the first places I got to explore when I lived in California, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful asylum and had patient wards and like, you know, everything. And the fact that somebody went in and just fucking set it on fire, and like the whole the video of this place on fire is gnarly. It's just, the whole thing is like blazing, and it's just, I hate when people go in and like fuck up our shit like that, you know. It's
I don't
devastating.
understand it.
I don't either. I really don't get it. Like, what is the point of, you know, doing that
and
stuff?
Also the graffiti artists that will intentionally like cover iconic rooms with shots that say like "fuck your iconic shot" and all that.
Yeah.
They just do it. It's like
just being an
form
asshole.
of trolling, you know.
Giant penises, that kind of stuff.
And then, how did you guys come up with your usernames on social media?
Oh, okay. Well, mine, this is not my first account. I had deleted my other one back because of drama, but I'm not going to talk about that.
Sure, yeah.
But anyway, that was years ago.
That's my second account too.
And I was trying to think of a name, and I had changed it a couple of times, but then I was thinking of, you know, we're always up early in the morning. So to me, like, these photos are part of that reverie for me. So they're part of that kind of like dreamlike state.
Wow. I love that.
You know, the product of that coming out of our early morning adventures. So that's where mine came from. And I don't know do you even remember where yours came from?
Not really. And I've actually changed it a little bit recently, because for years it was DorianHelix, but I actually adjusted it to DorianHelix recently for personal reasons. But I just think I liked the combination. And
well, I think you did Helix right because of your drawing.
It was related to my art. I was signing my art DorianHelix.
Oh, cool.
Or DorianHelix, but that's probably where it came from.
He does a lot of his ink drawing that he does involves a lot of geometric patterns.
Sick. I love that.
So I think the Helix part probably came from that.
It's part of it, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Yours is older than mine.
Right. Well, I've used that one all the
mine
time.
I had a stupid name before.
Yeah, I've been using, DorianHelix has been what I've used since I first went on Instagram. Just only recently changing it a little bit. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
At least 10 years, I guess.
I don't know, a long time.
It's crazy to think about how long Instagram's been around.
Right.
What do you guys hope for the future of urban exploring?
Well, it's so funny after you've been on a while, you know, I remember when we were newer, and then the old schoolers, you know, how they were like to us, and then now we're part of the old schoolers. Yeah. And then, you know, we see like newbies coming in and just being like, fuck it, and fucking shit up, or, you know, sharing everywhere. And now there's all this new stuff of people like selling pins and what I hear about. And we tend to now like more keep, you know, we have a very small circle.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is just, I hope for the future is that, you know, people just learn to respect locations.
Yeah.
You know, have fun, but, you know, be discreet and of course be nice to each other. Like, there are people, of course, over the years that you maybe don't like, but you can still not be rude and hateful. Yeah. And you just keep it cool, you know?
Absolutely.
I guess that's an old timey saying, right?
No, but it's true, and we have to respect these places. Otherwise, we're going to lose all of them,
Right.
And then last question for you both is, what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started exploring?
Oh.
Well, I think probably I would say what we've learned over the years is to inspect a place carefully, which is kind of my job, before we go in. So
Yes.
yeah, I tend to be the one, if it's new, oftentimes to go through and make sure the floors are safe and that there's no vultures or murderers or whatever. I tend to be the one that makes sure it's checked out and checks out okay. And like with the one where she fell, I had said, well, just be very careful in here because the floor is soft. Probably in retrospect, I would say don't walk on that floor.
Yeah.
Just to be safe.
Well, I was stupid. That was my fault because I didn't look and I backed up. Yeah. What I want to say though, for me, I think for me would be kind of the same thing about checking things out, but for a different reason. Exploring houses is actually super fucking sketchy because a house can look like it's abandoned, but it's actually people living there. Mm-hmm. And we actually saw this amazing Victorian house once that literally had boards on the windows, like old piled up dirty newspapers out front, overgrown, even had like an old nasty wood ramp that was like broken. The side door was open, and it had a little guest cottage in the back that was all dilapidated and decayed and asbestos. And I was like, I'm not sure. And then it's like, yeah, it's abandoned. So he went in the back door. I went in that side door. We go in and I'm like, oh my fucking God. There was nobody there, but I could tell somebody had just left. Oh. And everything inside was nice. And it had where, how like when you get up from the couch after you've laid down and the blanket's all nice.
Yeah.
It was just new, and like the slippers were still sitting there all clean by the toilet. And I was like, we have to fucking go.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And then we ended up going by just to make sure at nighttime. And of course there were lights on in a car.
Oh shit. Well, dang. Yeah. Good thing you guys didn't get, caught in there in somebody's house. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, I want to share one more story real fast. We were exploring an old farmhouse that we had just found driving around, and we were with City Sea Lights, and she does a lot of modeling, in the nude. Mm-hmm. And when we go with her, like she's always separate and like we're not watching her or anything like that. So she's off. And then all of a sudden I'm down by the door that we came in. Next thing you know, this man walks in and he's got a gun on his hip. And I'm like, and he's like, what are you doing in here? And I know that City Sea Lights is naked in another room.
Oh, no.
And my husband is somewhere. And I don't know where they are. So I'm like, oh, God, I've got to delay them and then somehow also let them know that we're caught, Yeah. So I start doing my smooth talking, that, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. We're photographers. And I'm trying to get them outside so they don't see her. Mm-hmm. It was crazy, but I ended up getting them outside, and then all of a sudden the other guy, I guess the dad, pulls up and he's also got a gun on his hip. That was really stressful.
Oh my God.
So then anybody who knows her, she throws her clothes like all over. So it took her forever. So they end up finally coming out, and I'm like sweating outside. I'm like, because they're like, what do you mean she's nude inside? What are you doing to her?
Oh, no.
Yeah. They thought we were like filming a porno inside or something.
Oh, my God. You're like, no, we're just taking photos. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, no, it's just art. She's doing self-portraits. We're not photographing her.
Right.
We leave her alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go near her. She's in another part.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
Wow. So.
And then yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you guys could tell everyone your social media one more time, I would love to, let them know where they can find you online.
Oh, sure. I am on Instagram. I am morning like morning_reveries. And
For me, it's DorianHelix all together.
All right, that was my episode with DorianHelix and Morning Reveries. If you want to check them out, both their links are down below. If you want to pick up a copy of their book, Abandoned Pennsylvania, I will set a link down below as well to that. If you guys want to get a signed copy, you can hit them up directly. Otherwise, you can get it through Amazon, which is the link down below. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, please do me a favor and leave a rating and feedback, and I will send you a signed photo of an abandoned place that I've explored as a way of saying thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week with another one. If you want to come on No Tracers, just hit me up at no.tracers on Instagram, No Tracers on TikTok, or you can, hit me up on my personal page as well, which is just at @KInagonio. I'll put that down below for you as well. And I'll speak to you very soon. Thanks, guys. Stay strong, keep enduring, go out, go explore something, and remember, leave no trace.